Hello there. Today on Docking Bay 327, we're going to look at how I made a custom Star Wars prop to display in my Star Wars room. It's an old guitar effects rack that I no longer needed because I now have a foot pedal board. So I sold the components out of it, and it left me a nice area that I could then use one of the panels that I purchased from Brian Thompson of the Smuggler's Room, painted it, weathered it, and put some lights into it, and I think it turned out really great. It's similar to some of the displays you'd see at Galaxy's Edge, or even in some of the movies. So let's take a look.
That's no moon.
Clear Bay 327. We are opening the magnetic field.
So I started with this scrap piece of MDF. I always like to keep my leftovers for projects just like this. And then next are these awesome panels and acrylic tiles, some that were sketched out. All of these are from Brian Thompson from the Smuggler's Room. They put these out for sale a while back, and I purchased all of them. But super cool. And so I was looking at those two and decided to go with this one. I'm gonna do a mechanical connection, so if I need to take it apart later, it'll be a little bit easier to do. These cool insets, you can see here, Brian and Krista really did a great job even packing it, putting the blue tape on there so that the inserts stayed in place but could be removed easily. So then I put in the acrylic tiles and the other acrylic piece, and then now it's time for some greeblies. And what better greeblies to use than Brian's? So once I attached it, carved it out and cut out these holes just using a drill and a jigsaw. But as you can see, I left a little bit of a lip. So when I put those tiles in, I have a good edge to glue to, but it'll still work well. Here I'm just going through the different steps that I use, the different paints, this Rust-Oleum flat red, and then the clear, gloss clear really gives it that cool rust red look. So here's the rack mount, and then I'm just kind of test fitting everything in place, make sure it all fits. It actually was, the black back panel was a little too big, so I had to cut it out. So here we have, it's time for some electronics, and I'm using my custom soldering station. I sand the back of these greeblies so that it'll have some teeth with the super glue or the CA glue. Get those in place evenly on each side. And then I just started taking these LEDs with built-in resistors for the bottom holes there. And I did a quick test to make sure they all worked. All looks good. This is another piece that I have from Brian Thompson. This was from another project. But he made this cool little LED acrylic box. I didn't use it for that other project, so I decided to use it for this one. I took the connector for the LED strip and cut it and stripped it, and then connected it to the rest of the LEDs so that I can power this with just one plug. And then you can see here I use the I just kind of crammed the LED strips in there, and it glows very nicely. I'm using the LED strip instead of regular LED or just, you know, singular LEDs because it gives a much better even light on it than just a singular LED or even a couple. You always tend to see the hot spots on those. So here's the LED strips. I just had these left over from another build and decided to go ahead and use them. And I used a splitter. So you can see there that I've already mounted the orange acrylic box, and then I have these spaces for the tiles. I want to use a power strip for this, an LED strip as well, so that it gives it a nice even backlight. And then I took some styrene, cut it into a shape to put on the back, and then just use hot glue. You want to be careful with this stuff because it gets really, really hot, like molten lava. And here I am just using a toothpick to apply some CA glue on the edges, and then just dropping the acrylic tiles down in there. Perfect fit. As you can see, they light very well. And then of course now it's time for some pinstriping. Classic Star Wars look. And if you could see the engravings on the panel that Brian made were perfect for lining up the tape. And I just wanted to kind of mask off this circular design on the left side and use some rub and buff here to add a little detail. I also used that same rub and buff on the greeblies. Gives it a really cool brushed metal or scraped metal look. I'm just using a wax disposable brush here to apply it to the edges. Really love how that turned out. I didn't even paint those. That's just the resin. Oh, and then so I had to cut this panel down a little bit so that it would fit, and so I just used the rub and buff to cover up the edges on the top and the bottom. You'll never see the bottom really, but then I add a little bit more to the panel itself to make it all look like it's metal. And then here's so the rack mount has this Furman power strip. And I didn't like seeing all of the text. I already know what everything does and all of that, so just sanded it all off. It gives it kind of a cool scratched brush metal look. So all of that's gone. Now I can install the panel. And I just used some of the screws from the other rack mounts that I got rid of. That rub and buff gets everywhere. So I screwed it all in place. And the power strip also has these cool little pull-out lights. So as you'll see in a little bit, I utilize that to kind of shine, make the display shine. So here it is, all put together and ready to put in its new home, which of course is my office. And here it is in place. I put some decals on it, some airbush, kind of finish it off, and then of course put some little droid parts and stuff in the drawer, pulled it out with a rag, make it look like I was in the middle of something, working there. So there you go, a custom Star Wars prop for my engine room floor, laid out to make it look like I've been working on some droid parts, trying to get my droid back in order. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And until next time, build with what you know and figure out the rest.